In my last video, I talked about motion blur, which occurs on the back edges of moving figures. In this video, I'm going to talk about blurring the background instead of the figure. I'll also talk about ghost figures and give you some examples. And it's in my book, Ellen's Guide to Rhythm and Motion, which is $5. And please remember to subscribe. I want to go through the motion cues in my horse painting. So there are indistinct trees in the background that show depth, not motion. But by keeping the background soft, they make the horses appear to pop forward. Now, just like the wheels of a truck, the hooves are the fastest moving part, so I used the softest edges for the legs and the hooves, but I kept the body sharp for contrast. The diagonal unbalanced pose, particularly of this horse, creates a line that suggests that he's leaning forward into his momentum, making it look as if he's much faster than if he were straight up and down. And there's physical evidence of motion. The blown mane suggests that they're cutting through the air, and the dust suggests that they're hitting the ground with force. But wait, there are even more motion cues in this painting. For one, the hooves here don't touch the ground. I tried to create the flight phase of the gallop where the horse is literally in the air, adding to the sense of speed. And the shadow is blurred and detached, as if the horses aren't in one place long enough to cast a shadow. And after all, the shadow is moving too. If you had a dark, crisp shadow, it would make these horses look stationary. It would fight against the idea of motion. Now, in compositional rules, we're supposed to leave room in front for the horses to move. But instead, I used a tight crop where the horses nearly touch the edges of the painting, as if they were about to burst out of the painting. Because the horses fill up so much of the frame, they appear to be zipping past the viewer much faster than if they were smaller figures in a vast landscape. And that's called motion parallax, where objects close to us seem to be moving faster than those further away. And finally, I used warm colors for the horses because that evokes feelings of excitement and energy. And I used the cool backgrounds for contrast. Let's look at motion cues in my horse race painting. Instead of using soft edges, I used transparent overlapping images called ghost figures. It shows where the leg was a second ago, so it provides substance and form that a simple blur would lose, and it keeps the horse's anatomy visible, even in motion. Now, by showing the hooves obscured by kicked up dirt and disconnected from their shadow, I've achieved a suspended look where they appear to be in the air. And again, I cropped the frame, having the horses fill the entire space, and that utilizes motion parallax, where the objects closer to us look faster than the ones in the distance, as if the viewer is standing directly on the track as these horses thunder past. In my last video, I talked about motion blur on the subject, which is the most common type of blur. And it occurs when the subject is zipping right past us, so the back edges of the subject become blurred. This is motion blur in the background, and it's called panning, where the camera moves at the same speed as the subject, so they're stationary relative to one another. We could take this picture, for example, from the passenger seat of a car going the same speed as this cyclist. So the edges of the cyclist are sharp because he's going the same speed as we are. But the foreground and background are very blurry because we're going zipping right past them. And the foreground, although you really can't tell here, should be blurrier than the background. The only part of this cyclist that is moving from our perspective are the wheels, which are rotating around. This is supposedly a picture of panning where the car and the girl are going as fast as we are. But something's wrong with this picture. First of all, the car looks parked because there's no driver and the wheels aren't moving. The foreground should be blurrier than the background, and here it's the opposite. And the runner is sharp, indicating that she's going as fast as the camera, but that's physically impossible. So this is probably a photo of a parked car and a running girl with linear blur filter on Photoshop applied to the background. Balla's Dynamism of a Dog on a Leash shows many types of speed blurs. First of all, the direction he chooses is from right to left, which is the unconventional choice. We are more used to seeing movement from left to right the way we read. The floorboards are diagonal and they provide some depth rather than following the horizontal movement. The dog has several types of movement. His body is relatively sharp because it's parallel to the direction of travel, but his feet and tail move much faster than the body, and they rotate in semicircles around the central joints, which I've marked in yellow. Balla uses soft edges here to suggest a smooth, continuous blur, like a long exposure photograph. Now, the woman is moving as fast as the dog, but not as fast as his legs. So her dress remains relatively sharp-edged. And instead, Balla uses ghosting for her shoes. It's as if we see the shoe at position 1, and after we blink, the shoe is in position 2. This effect suggests a heavy, deliberate plod rather than the dog's fluid trot, and it gives the figure more substance and weight while still proving that she's in motion. Even though everything is moving in this picture, if you blur all the edges, the subject becomes unrecognizable. So this artist chooses exactly where to keep the edges sharp to show the forms and where to let them go soft to show them energy and movement. I just started a new YouTube channel to teach art to kids 8 years old and up, and I go through some of the basics of art, hopefully in a fun way. And it's under Ellen's Art for Kids. And I have a book with the same name, Ellen's Art for Kids, on Amazon.